Caught the little ad there at the end. Welcome to the stream, everybody. Got a beautiful weekly close here on Bitcoin that we're going to cover. If you guys are live in the chat, let me know what you want me to cover. Do you want to take a look at mining stocks? You want to take a look at the indices? You want to take a look at shit coins? Spam your tickers in the chat. And without any further ado, let's get into the king of all crypto, and that is Bitcoin. Beautiful weekly close. We talked about this in previous streams, how, the most bullish thing that we could be looking at would be for this to kind of end up being some sort of a doji where the liquidity came down and then we closed this candle green. I was not expecting this candle to close green. We closed this weekly candle green. Really, really bullish sign to the market. So super stoked to see that. Typical trading view glitch here. This candle isn't red. It's actually green. The weekly candle, for whatever reason on trading view, is just glitchy. But let's take a look at things on the daily. And we're kind of looking at this broadening wedge. Now, broadening wedges are very tricky to trade because every time you reach a support, it makes a new low, and every time you get a high, it's taking out the highs, leading you to believe that there's a breakout. So these are not very favorable swing trading conditions. They're pretty tricky to trade, but that being said, they are a bullish formation. So when you zoom out and look at this from kind of a higher time frame point of view, we're looking at a massive bull flag with a broadening wedge. Things are looking good to me. Let's take a look at things on alphanumerics on the daily. Alphanumerics is where it gets a little loud. And here's a perfect example as to what I mean with this being a very difficult type of consolidation to be a trader. We flipped the wave green, and shortly after we flipped the wave green, we flipped it back to red. Very, very unusual price action. It's extremely rare for us in 1 week to flip the wave green and then the very next week flip it to red. So, it's just marking the volatility that we've been seeing inside of this consolidation. But volatility is a good thing. Volatility shakes out and it sets us up, restacks the books, and prepares us to get an honest interpretation as to what's going on in the market in terms of which force is greater. Do we have greater supply or do we have greater demand? On the demand front, we can take a look at the ETFs. ETF inflows are back to positive. And furthermore, kind of a very quiet announcement kind of posed here on CNBC as the reason for Bitcoin's dump. And it's not exactly a positive article, but there's a few little tidbits in this article that talks about how demand is certainly coming to the cryptocurrency market. Audio is in and out. Audio is in and out. Can I get an audio check from the chat? So digital asset analysis at Bernstein said that on August 5th, unlike other cycles where it's harder to invest in Bitcoin through crypto exchanges, Bitcoin ETFs are live and highly liquid, trading at about $2 billion a day. Better now. Let me just, for fun, change my noise suppressor because I changed the noise suppressor today. So let's just try that noise suppressor. We expect more wirehouse approvals into Q3 and Q4, thus providing further on-ramps for asset allocation into Bitcoin. And then when you scroll down here, beginning Wednesday, Morgan Stanley of Chase Bank will allow its army of 15,000 financial advisors to pitch spot Bitcoin ETF issued by BlackRock and Fidelity to clients who meet certain criteria, including those who have a net worth of $1.5 million. The demand is just around the corner. We are going to start seeing, this type of environment again. This was at the launch of the ETF, which was fantastic amounts of demand for the market. And we saw the price results as a result of that demand. And now the big banks in America, Chase being one of the biggest banks, is now authorizing its financial advisors to pitch Bitcoin ETFs to their clients, and not little clients, the high net worth individuals. So we have big money coming to the market. Looking really, really good. Going back to the TA. On the daily, we're holding the 7. So we broke past the 7 here. The 7 moving average on the daily is the weekly average price. So we're above the weekly average price on Bitcoin, which indicates an uptrend. As long as Bitcoin is above the 7, you have the ability to form an uptrend. As long as Bitcoin's price is above the weekly price, you have a recipe for an uptrend on the daily chart. Currently, came down, tested it. Now we're above it. Wouldn't be surprised if we get a rally. We do have a lot of overhead resistance here at around $62,000. We'll see. We just had a weekly close. So typically when you have the high time frame closes, you do get a little bit of a test. The market needs to test where the bulls are at. What level are the bulls at? So if we go over to the 4-hour, I wouldn't be surprised, even though I'm bullish and I'm talking about higher levels, I wouldn't be surprised if we come down and test again somewhere. Maybe we come down and test the $57,000 level and rally off of there. Maybe we come down and test a little bit lower, or even lower still at the bottom of the channel. It's not uncommon when you have a high time frame close that you get that liquidity test. So don't be taken off guard if you do see prices come down to lower levels at this point. But honestly, the high time frames are what you're most bullish on. The high time frame is singing a beautiful song, and it's looking really, really good as far as our high time frame closes are. Our official bias, I'm bullish already, but our official bias flips at $70,000, which would correlate with a retest to the top of the channel, the top of the broadening wedge, rather. If we hit 70K, I am very, very confident that is going to be a breakout. On the RSI, sitting at the 50 level, a lot of, when you're in a bull market, when you're in a bear market, you spend a lot of time below the 50. When you're in a bull market, you crack through that 50 resistance and you can rally above it, bounce off of the 50, hover around the 50 and get rallies off of that. So as far as the RSI is concerned, I wouldn't be surprised if we do something like this, hang out on top of the 50, and that all correlates with positive price action on Bitcoin. So all signs look really, really bullish to me. Let's go over to the 15-minute. And then we'll catch up with the chat. 15-minute, let's turn alphanumerics off. Currently below the 128 EMA. So the lower time frames don't look super bullish. But, we have the high time frames. You always put more precedent and confluence on the higher time frames. So, low time frame, this leads into my thesis on the 4-hour that we could see lower levels because we just broke below a support. We're below the 128 EMA. Wouldn't be surprised if we come down and test some lower levels, maybe at around 57 or even 54, or like I said, even 51. 51 is not exactly what I would like to see because it's not a measure of strength, but we have so much demand coming from the ETFs in the coming months. Like I've been saying on this channel for months, September. You guys know, you've been in the Discord, you've been on the channel, you've been following me for a while. I think I started talking about September back in April. we've been talking about September. People didn't believe me. They were like, "Oh, it's going to take that's too much consolidation. Why are you so bearish on the price? Why do you think it's going to take that long?" It takes time. It takes time for things to digest. It takes time for the supply to be absorbed by the market. And we're on track for my September being a really bullish month, and September being that transition into phase 2. That's what I want to see, is kind of September changing the bias of the market, and things getting a lot more bullish with ETF inflows and retail inflows. Let's take a look at the chat. Let's catch up with the chat. Before I do that, be sure to join the Discord. QR code popping up on the screen right now. If you guys aren't already in the Discord, we're a very supportive group. We are here to field any questions that you might have in regards to Bitcoin trading, crypto custody, as well as we give away our free Bitcoin trading bot. So if you guys are interested, Bangbox is live on BitGet, and it's up. We're up 11% overall. We just launched it a few weeks ago, so 11% doesn't sound that impressive, but 11% more Bitcoin is always a good thing for me. It's good passive investment bought here. All right, catching up with the chat. Any updates on Black Box release date? Black Box release is, well, we need to get the exchanges set up for Bangbox first. So Black Box will be probably a few months. We're going to have it up and running before the bull market ends. We're just entering into the exciting phase of the bull market where Black Box it's not going to have a signal. Black Box is a very low time preference, like large macro swing trading bot. So all of our priorities right now are on the small time frame scalping bots. We need to get all of those up and running. We need to get the exchanges integrated. And then by the time a Black Box signal will be applicable, we'll have that up and running as well. How is the Black Box Blowfin testing going? Is it close to release? We are testing internally. We are going to open it up to the Discord testing very soon, and it's coming. It's coming. Probably a few more weeks. Once we get it into the public testing, meaning that our Discord group will be testing the Blowfin products, it's going to be market dependent. So the quicker the market can provide us signals, the faster we're able to roll that out. So we don't have a date just yet. We need to see successful signals, and we have no control over the signals. It's entirely dependent on the market. The faster the market moves, the faster the market produces those signals, the faster we get it out. So that's where we are right now for that. Let's take a look at Bitcoin dominance. Bitcoin dominance continuing to trend up. Alts continuing to get wrecked. I think we're going to hit 60%. I think we're going to hit 60%. All that we need right now is a big rally in Bitcoin. We're setting up for a big rally in Bitcoin. I think if Bitcoin gets above 70, it's going to be clear sailing to 100K. So in that context, I don't see the alts doing an outperformance of Bitcoin. I see the alts being dragged up by Bitcoin. So because Bitcoin will continue to outperform in that environment, wouldn't be surprised if we see Bitcoin dominance get to 60, potentially even higher levels. We could get as high as 62% market dominance for Bitcoin. Thoughts on rate cuts possibly causing recession? Rate cuts don't cause recessions. Rate increases causes recessions. Rate cuts are typically in response to a recession. So the fact that they're cutting rates makes money cheap. When you make money cheap, it's easier to invest. It's easier to prop up the market. Rate cuts are in response to negative fundamentals in the market. What they should be doing is cutting. What they should be doing is increasing the rates. But they're not going to, because we're too far in this game. We're too far in this game, and and the powers that be want to keep asset prices high. We're in a very delicate point in financial markets as a whole. Let's actually take a look at the S&P so we can get a better visual of what I'm talking about. Let's go to the monthly chart on the S&P. It's a goddamn shitcoin chart. The S&P is just on a tear. If you hike rates in this environment, you cause an epic crash. Crash so hard that the crash itself will put us into a recession. They're kicking the can down the road. They don't want to cause the crash. They're going to, delay the inevitable. They're not ready to rip off the Band-Aid yet. So they're going to reduce rates. Reduce rates makes money cheap. Cheap money puts asset prices up. It inflates everything. Inflation is only going to get worse. If you don't hold assets, you are getting fucked as usual. So make sure you have strong allocation to assets that are not correlated to the ridiculousness of the markets, such as Bitcoin. Remain allocated to those inflation hedges, such as Bitcoin, or whatever you prefer. But yeah, rate cuts are a good thing for asset prices. So because we're analyzing asset prices, the rate cuts are going to cause everything to go up. They're going to make life hard for people because inflation will also go up and the people will experience a form of a recession, but the markets, the financial markets, won't. And I think it's more than a rumor, Mexi. I think the rate cuts are coming. The rate increases that we saw in Japan caused a huge collapse of the yen and the Nikkei. So you saw the equivalent S&P 500 just crash on the Nikkei. And this is as a result of rate increases, not rate cuts. If they continued, this is a result of rate cuts. Japan has been running negative interest rates for a long ass time. So, this is what we're trying to avoid at this point. This is what the U.S. is trying to avoid. The U.S. has been trying to increase rates as much as they can, but they're at a point now where they're going to start to stimulate. Quantitative easing will kick in, and all of the nonsense that goes with the Federal Reserve and the whole banking system, the whole fraud will continue. We don't live in a free market. This is a fake government-run market for a bunch of clowns and monkeys. And this is what those clowns and monkeys are trying to avoid. So already the Federal Reserve of the UK the Bank of England started cutting rates, and they're going to stimulate the economy that way. The Canadian bank is also starting to cut rates. So it's only a matter of time until the US starts to cut rates. And that's going to send a message around the world, because the US is still the dollar is still the reserve currency of the world. That it's go time. It's time for asset prices to increase. All right. Let's take a look at ETH BTC, see how we're doing on that front. ETH BTC still getting slaughtered. I'm not going to dwell on it too much. A lot of my community does like ETH. And, I'm sure I had some influence in that because I used to like ETH a lot. And then ETH went to proof of stake, and then ETH became worthless to me. Proof of stake anything is a joke. I mean, 50% of the Ethereum out there was just created out of thin air. 70 million ETH were just created and held by the Ethereum Foundation. So it doesn't have any value. And we're seeing that. We're seeing that in the charts. This is what the market is telling us, is that it's still in a downtrend. And when they went to proof of stake, the mindset of yield changed. They really tried to become a money, and the market didn't buy ETH because they thought ETH was good money. They bought ETH because of NFTs, DeFi, and degenerate meme coins. Who's taken the lead on that? Solana. Solana has taken all of the demand from Ethereum, and it's showing. It's showing. Solana is crushing it. Solana's been doing incredibly well this cycle. Absolutely, like not even a close comparison. Let's take a look at the ETH chart in a comparative chart here. Let's go to Coinbase USD, and let's go to 1 year. So in the last year, Ethereum is up 38% and Solana's up 479%. That should be a pretty clear indicator to what the demand for altcoins are. Altcoin traders don't give a fuck about money. They're not here for money. They're here for gains. They're here for speculation. And when Ethereum went to proof of stake and they focused so heavily on monetary policy and issuance and deflation and blah, 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 like nobody fucking cared. It's cool that that's always been the vision of Ethereum, but nobody bought Ethereum for those reasons. They bought Ethereum for these reasons. And because Ethereum has lost its way and forgotten who they are, a shitcoin casino, another shitcoin casino became popular, and that's Solana. Switching gears, let's take a look at some of the ordinal plays. We'll do a little bit of a deeper dive into the ordinals, because ordinals are actually presenting themselves as having bottoms, okay? Now, a bottom being in does not mean price goes up. I want to be very clear. A bottom being in means that nobody else is selling. The sellers are exhausted. You can have sellers exhausted for months and months and months and months. What you need is demand. So if you are going to play in the ordinal space, make sure you are in the top, most recognized projects, the ones that get the most attention, because attention breeds demand. Okay? Track is doing pretty much the only interesting thing in the ordinal space, where they're trying to decentralize ordinal indexing. For those who don't know what ordinal indexing is who owns what where and what JPEG is attached to what. It's just like assigning the data to the Satoshi. That's all indexing is. I'm not going to get too far into it. But what they're also going to do is they're going to allow for lending. They're going to allow for liquidity pools. They're going to allow for marketplace adoption. Track is trying to do quite a lot. And if they're able to achieve even 10% of what they claim, you're going to see a lot of demand for Track. And it seems to be at a bottom. You know, we've got a nice double bottom formation occurring right here as a break of this downward sloping line of resistance. I won't be convinced of demand truly hitting this asset until we can break past $2.60 and then full on confirmation at about $3. But Track is definitely the most interesting project out there. Ordi is not that interesting at all, but it's one of the first. So you can kind of look at it as like, I don't know, you can look at it as where the degens are thinking you can place bets. Ordi doesn't look great. Ordi doesn't look great. There's not much to point to that shows health of this chart, if I'm being perfectly honest. All metrics are pointing to further downside as far as Ordi is concerned. Again, there's no fundamentals of Ordi, so I guess that can be the difference between a project like Track and a project like Ordi. Ordi doesn't do anything. Track is actually trying to do something, so that's, you know, mustering up some demand. But yeah, we'll get a nice flip back in our bias above $2.20. Ordi has a higher climb. It needs to get back above $55 before we start thinking anything bullish about Ordi. Let's take a look at some other ones that aren't listed on TradingView. And we'll take a look at an NFT. Why not? Is it possible to short ordinals? No. Not until leverage is introduced into the system. Not until you can borrow against an ordinal. So we need track infrastructure. If you can't borrow, you can't add leverage. If you can't add leverage, you can't short. You can only sell, which is shorting. Natcats had a little bit of a pop. Again, not a lot of demand. Okay, you gotta say it like it is. But we did kind of have a little pop here. They are going to be allowing users to mint other NFTs as a result of owning Natcats. So if you own Natcats, you will have exclusive rights to minting this other project, that other project, any other project that wants to launch as a result of the Natcats. Will allow you to mint based on the ownership of the Natcat. So this is going to drive a ton of demand for Natcats. But the missing puzzle piece, again, is sentiment. Sentiment's really, really low. And sentiment is low because Bitcoin price is not mooning. Bitcoin price is not doing anything exciting whatsoever. So basically, to keep it a little bit short and sweet, you're not going to see anything in the ordinal space until Bitcoin's above at least 70K and ideally above a new all-time high. So this is kind of the line in the sand. When Bitcoin is above $75,000, that's when the demand for ordinals and altcoins is going to come in, because now it's like, okay, we're in a bull market. It's time to speculate. How do I make more Bitcoin? How do I multiply my sats? How do I multiply my assets with higher risk plays? So that's the missing puzzle piece for a lot of ordinals. But yeah, there are some interesting projects out there. So let's actually go over to Ordinals Wallet. Not BTC Machines. BTC Machines is OG, but this Rune dog tokens, again, everything I'm saying relies on stupidity at re-entering the market. Stupid people need to buy stupid shit again. And that only happens when stupid people feel safe. And it takes a lot of convincing for stupid people to feel safe. This is like the bare bones way of breaking it down, is people who think these useless things have value. They need to be convinced, and they can only be convinced when Bitcoin is cooperating. RSIC is another one that I would take a look at. You basically want to stick to the top 10. Don't go any lower than 10. It really quickly goes into obscurity when you go below that. So if you're looking for projects to allocate into, there's a couple. I'm still bullish on sats, but it becomes very confusing, and most of these are absolute garbage. All of them don't really do anything, but the ones that I think have opportunities in the short term for accumulation would probably be these top ones. If we take a look at the charts, this one's still in a downtrend, so monitor that. Let's see what Bank of Nakamoto is doing. There's another interesting chart. Seems to be flattening out, but still a downtrend. It's kind of the same story with a lot of these. Pups for world peace, that's a ridiculous thing. It must be valuable if it's ridiculous. Nope. Strong downtrend. Maybe the best way about this is to actually just focus on track. Because what track is trying to unlock will produce a lot of value in the market. So let track be your guiding star for ordinals. When track begins to rally, ordinals will be doing well. Let's take a look at some of the better known altcoins. We did take a look at ETH. Let's take a look at Doge. Yeah, I don't know. Kind of a busy chart. Still in its backup phase. Yeah, there's just not a rotation. There's just not a rotation going on. And that, you know, is best illustrated with the dominance chart. We can keep it really simple. Bitcoin dominance continues to climb. Alts continue to get wrecked. Alts get wrecked. Altcoin season. You know what I will do, though? I will raise the bar for altcoin season. I think at this point, altcoin season doesn't need to be all the way down there. And alts will get wrecked. And it looks like it wants to keep on climbing. It'll be weird for me when I finally sound the alarms that altcoin season is here. Because I've spent the last 4 years telling people not to buy alts. AINN. AINN. The fuck is this? The fuck is this rug pull? Artificial neural network. Oh, God. That's got a bunch of buzzwords. Sounds amazing. Looks terrible. Yeah, I mean, artificial neural network, AI bullshit. I'm so fundamentally against AI anything in the cryptocurrency space, but I understand that, you know, it's a narrative that people adopt. There's an absolute 0% chance that any AI project in the cryptocurrency market is going to actually contribute to the world of AI. There's a 0% chance of that happening. But it's easy to digest, and people can understand the thought process of cryptocurrency and AI. So it's consistently been a very good narrative to jump on. Let's actually take a look at a few comparatives. Let's pull up Fetch AI. What's that other really popular one that keeps changing its name? AGI. Oh, man. I forgot. They keep changing their name. Categories. AI. Where is the AI? Artificial intelligence. Okay. I see a lot of these projects have rebranded. Near was not an AI project. Now it is. So let's do Near. See, when when one scam doesn't work, you got to move to the next scam. So smart contract blockchain wasn't working for Near anymore, so they needed to become a artificial intelligence blockchain. ICP, another big scam. BitTensor, another fucking... This is the Hall of Fame of scams, ladies and gentlemen. Render, they just did a weird token drop or something. Somebody was DMing me about that. The graph is like, these aren't even AI projects. I just don't even... Oh, Singularity Net. That's the one I was thinking about. AGIX. AGIX. And let's go to the last year. Yeah, nothing looks good in artificial intelligence right now. They're all shit. Down 71%, down 53%, down 49%, down 10%. One has managed to be up 12%, up 16, up 20, up 57. You got to listen to the market when it speaks. AI is not the place to be. So AINN is on BTC. So here's the thing. Here's the thing that nobody understands. And here's why I am so negative towards AI coins. Bitcoin is the AI. AINN. Where is it? Fucking AINN. Bitcoin is AINN. And this is the thing with most altcoins in general. I'm going to get into a little bit of a rant. So if you don't like my rants, we'll see you later. So many projects will make claims that they are doing X, Y, or Z. You know, we are doing identification. We're doing medical records. We're doing artificial intelligence. We're doing supply chain management. We're doing this, X, Y, Z. It doesn't fucking matter. They all claim to do something different. But here's the thing. Blockchain is what is doing that, not the coin. So artificial neural networks is a way for you to connect data connections through the blockchain. That's what we've done thus far with ordinals. And where do ordinals exist? They exist on the Bitcoin network. The neural connection of point A to point B data is Bitcoin. It's Bitcoin, nothing else. Bitcoin made that connection. Bitcoin holds the data. Bitcoin indexes the information. Bitcoin retrieves the information. Bitcoin transfers the information. Bitcoin remembers the neural connections of the information, not the coin. Every single thing, every single project out there that makes a claim, they're claiming they can do X, Y, Z, and they make it sound as though Bitcoin can't. But Bitcoin can, will, and does. I'll keep it at that. All right, let's take a look at some of the ones that we've been doing really well on. Immutable X, how we doing, Immutable X? IMX, how we looking? We're on our backup, but you know, we're in a local downtrend, so the assumption is lower levels. There's a possibility we come all the way down. Possibility, it's not likely, but it's definitely possible. I think what we do on the USD price is we stick around this level. Top of the range, typical Wyckoff accumulation. Get ready for moon time. But it hasn't happened yet. So we're just setting up for that one big scam pump. One big pump that fucking takes everybody off guard. If I was to guess, just based off experience in this market, I wouldn't be surprised if this tries to go to 20 bucks. So 1,600% move from here on IMX. Could do more, could do less. Another one is Ronin Chain. They have a digestible narrative. They are, you know, doing metaverse gaming. And they have their own wallet. So, you know, projects that have their own wallet and that wallet has some level of adoption, I think those projects have a good chance of seeing some significant gains in the right market conditions. So Bitcoin above 70K. When the right market conditions come in, I wouldn't be surprised if this one also, you know, heads up to at least 20 bucks. Currently at $1, it's not hard for something that has this level of adoption to do 20x. So yeah, keep an eye on Ron. Another token that has its own wallet and an incredible amount of adoption is Ton Coin. This is the native governance token of Telegram. Telegram is the #1 adopted app in cryptocurrency, period. End of story. I don't use it really. I'm a Discord guy myself. I find it's much easier to index information in a Discord server. But I can absolutely recognize that the majority of crypto enthusiasts and crypto users are frequent users of Telegram. So yeah, this one looks good. Really big demand tail here on the weekly candle close. I think it'll follow lock and step with Bitcoin. This one has huge potential. Huge potential. For price. Not anything profound to the world. Let's catch up with some of the more fundamental things. Let's catch up with some of the fundamentals. Let's revisit the S&P. S&P, beautiful uptrend. Rates are coming down. It's going to continue to rally. Let's see what we can expect. Let's actually pull the last rally. Why can I never find this? There it is. Yeah, we're going to rally up to 650. We got a good ways to go before we start topping out. The S&P is like the most predictable thing out there. So we got another 20% before we need to start worrying. Probably more. You know, we're getting really close to the elites allowing for the market to correct, in my opinion. It has to correct at some point because when they get this rich, Warren Buffett's got a huge cash position. He's not an idiot. He sees a crash coming and he's going to scoop in and buy. So when the actual crash comes, once we get like a huge level, you know, something like this, something terrifying, that's when Warren Buffett's going to step in for sure. You can't call the top. Warren Buffett knows you can't call the top. He's preparing for the top. He's preparing for the blood and the carnage. He's a smart guy. He's been doing this for a really long time. And he's building up cash. And he's not going to deploy that while things are nice. Can you check the Bitcoin futures price versus the current price? Why? What information does that afford us? NASDAQ. Man, that's an interesting candle. Yep, NASDAQ in an uptrend. Going to continue to be in an uptrend. Until the trend breaks, the trend is your friend. The trend is your friend until it ends. Gold. How's good old gold doing? How's our shiny yellow rock? Shiny yellow rock has been up here consolidating for a while. This will probably take off as well. I think we're entering an everything goes up environment. The hedges go up, the assets go up, everything goes up. So we're looking for a breakout on gold. One stupid line. That's all you need. Just one stupid line. When we're above this line, it'll be a breakout. And I wouldn't be surprised if it goes to some nice numbers. I mean, gold's been in accumulation for a long time. A long time. Years. Since 2020, gold's been in an accumulation. It's ready. It's ready to rally. Gold's ready to rally. DXY, value of the dollar. How's the dollar doing? Are we trending down? Dollar's on top of our 128 EMA. I want to see the dollar come to the bottom. If the dollar comes to the bottom, this from here to here is a big move. When the dollar moves from here to here, you're going to see large moves in the equity markets. You're going to see large move in any asset market, real estate, gold, stocks, everything, commodities, all of it. So that's what we want to see. We want to see money get cheap again. We want to see money lose value again. And it would be incredible, not for day-to-day living, but it would be fucking incredible for assets and those of us who live on a hard asset standard, if we actually broke that support for the first time in over a year. If we break that level, things are gonna get interesting. Things are gonna get really interesting. That'll be, if we break that level, I'm calling it right now, Bitcoin goes into a super cycle. Right now, this is just your normal bull market coming back down to the bottom here. If we break that level, Bitcoin goes into a super cycle. And other assets go into a super cycle as well. If the premium on futures price is too high, then bearish, no. It doesn't have enough correlation for me. It's just a different price because it's a different thing. It's the price of the contract. So if it's coming at a premium, it means that people are bullish. If it's coming at a discount, it means that people are bearish because they're willing to speculate on leverage. If it's at a higher price, the contracts are in higher demand. It means that people are willing to speculate more and use more and borrow to speculate on the price of Bitcoin, but I don't bother. It's not a metric that I follow, and I don't think it holds much value. Other people might disagree with me. I'm certain there are people that disagree with me on that. But if you look at too many things, you don't do things. Analysis paralysis. Got to keep it simple. Let's take a look at BlackRock ETF. Man, I hate markets that aren't 24 hours. How does anybody trade this fucking bullshit? This is why I don't trade stocks. I mean, there's other reasons that I don't trade stocks. But like, what is this pile of puke? Very similar action. Obviously, it's correlated to the price of Bitcoin. So yeah, I think that's it. I think I've covered everything I needed to cover. We talked about Bitcoin. We talked about Bitcoin dominance. We talked about ETH. We didn't talk about ETH on the dollar. Not that it matters, but we'll talk about it. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna show it to you, and then I'm gonna tell you not to look at this chart. This chart is a waste of your time. At this point in the market cycle, this chart is a waste of your time. If you are looking at this chart, you are wasting. If you're making trading decisions based off of the information you're gathering from this chart, you are making poor trading decisions. You need to look at the Bitcoin chart. Keep it really fucking simple. This is all you need right here. This one line. I've got all these lines on here. They're all useless. It's just to paint a picture that we've been looking at this as distribution. They don't matter. These lines don't matter. The only line that matters is this one red line. Put this one red line on the Bitcoin comparative, and when Ethereum breaks out above this line, you have your signal to buy Ethereum. Until that happens, Ethereum is just not the place to be. Period. All right, we're going to close things out on that cheerful note. Don't buy ETH, buy BTC. If you guys enjoyed this content, please leave it a like. Don't forget to subscribe. Check out blackbox.pro. Get set up for your free Bitcoin trading bot today. If you are struggling with KYC, by the way, go to rsn.id and get a plow ID. I just did it, got signed up on BitGet. Sorry, not BitGet, Bybit. Bybit was one of the harder exchanges to get on. BitGet takes Palau IDs. Bybit takes Palau IDs. If you are struggling with KYC in your jurisdiction, this is a 100% legal way for you to trade on those exchanges. So go and check that out. Check out blackbox.pro. All the links down below. We hope to see you in the Discord. And until next time, please trade safe. It is a jungle out there. Peace.